Hello guys, welcome back. So today we are going to learn about structs and objects. So before that we need to know what do we mean by composite types. So this is what we are going to learn today. But before that we'll see what are composite types. So composite type means that we can create our new type in Julia for programmatic use. So up until now we have used inbuilt types like tuples, dictionary, arrays, etc. Now we will create a new type which Julia can understand. So let's start with a simple example which is person. So I will enter struct, which is the type, and then person. Name is the property, age, gender, and email. We have to end like this. Now as you can see, we have created a new type called struct. Now what we will do, we will create Alex equals to, we'll create a new person Alex who is joining our game, and for example he's 27 years old, and mail and email id is alex.kvan@gmail.com. Any resemblance to mail id is pure fictional and coincidental. So this is how we have created our own person Alex. So if you can see here, it is a new type, person type, and it has all name, age, gender, email. So if we want to access this type, then we can just enter Alex dot, if you want to access the name, Alex dot name, then Alex dot email, and for Alex dot age. This is how we can access the structs. Another thing is that access are structs are accessible immutable by default. For example, if I want to change the age of Alex to 30, so it will give us an error. So you can see here, immutable struct of type person cannot be changed. So hence we need to have, if we want to create a immutable struct, then we have to define using mutable uh, precedent like command. Now for example, let us see, like if we are creating a game in which players, you might have played like PUBG or Battle Royale. Players all over the world are joining those games, and there are some characteristics which are inherited by default in like this type of games, like your basic profile and how the avatar is or gravatar is. But like we can enhance it using ammunition. So when and the player plays in the battlefield, then it gains some ammunitions or like weapons. So let's understand the mutable struct. So we will take this example of playing games and we will define it. So I'll have to use MD here. Cool. Now what I can do to define a mutable struct, I need to use mutable, then struct, and then player. So all the player, like we are creating a game. So name, health, then I can use strength, then ammunitions, and then avatar. Now what we have to do, we have to use player one equals to player, and let me name this as green grass. Health is 100 and strength is 1000, and it has by default ammunition AK-47, pistol, and knife, and its avatar is turtle. Now I can define player 2 as well. Player 2 For example, player, its username is red radish, then 100 is the help, 1000 at the start of the game whenever like user is entering in the battlefield. AK-47, then pistol. This is by default, like every user has knife, and then its avatar is rabbit. Now let me do it. For example, now if we want to access it, so what we can do, let us see. I will use begin here because I have to enter a lot of details. So first of all, how to access it, layer. So whenever we are accessing the struct, we need to use dollar and then in brackets if you want to write with the print statement, and then for example player 2 dot name, enter into a war zone. Now what happens is that player 1 dot name uses, for example, player 1 dot ammunition. I can access with tab. Yes, I can access with tab. For example, it uses knife, and player 2 dot name uses player 2 dot ammunitions 1 to fight. So let's see what happens now. I'll have to close with the quotes. Yeah, I need to end this. Let's see what is happening. Green grass and red radish enter into a war zone. Green grass uses pistol and red radish uses AK-47 to fight. Now what I can do, now what happens is that in this case, since green grass is using pistol but red radish is using AK-47, it means that red radish has heavily injured green grass. We can say player 1 dot name is heavily injured. Now green grass is heavily injured. So after this, what we can do, we can change it. Like for example, player 1 dot health equals to 50, and some injury expression. So we don't need this to change it. And one thing is that some damage is also done to player 2 health. Then we can say player 2 dot health is player 2 dot health minus 5. Okay, now if we print player 1 and player 2, then it is like this. One thing also we need to see that we can also use struct within structs. So how to use struct within struct? So what I can do, so if you see here, we have created person struct earlier, which is immutable, and then player struct, which is mutable. Now what we can do, new person. Let's see, I can create person which is XYZ, which 34, female, and email ID G something @ Yahoo. We have created new person. Now let's create new player equals to player, which is also XYZ. Let's keep this a common name. Health is 100, strength is 1000, ammunitions are pistol and knife, and avatar is football. Now we have both new player and new person. And so we can create a new profile, because if we see here, this profile is the mix of person and player. So we can create new profile equals to profile new person and new player. So let's see what is happening here is that we have created a struct of profile where it is person and here it is player. So they are a mix of both person and player. This is how we can mix structs. Now let's see how we can use struct and functions. So let me use double hash. This is child topic. So let us create another struct which is point, and then we can use x point which is float 64 and y point which is float 64, and let me end this. Now we can create a new point is point 3.0 and 4.0. Okay, I will make this example. We can print ln x coordinates are dot x, and then let me copy this thing. Okay, let me paste here. I'll do y coordinates are p dot y. Now function distance we have to calculate. So let me just to create a distance which is p1 and p2. They both are structs which is point type. So we have defined point. So we can also use the function argument and its type as point. We can define in the Julia function. Now we will calculate delta x, so which will be p2 dot x minus p2 dot p1 dot x, and dy is p2 dot y minus p1 dot y. Then we can do return square root dx plus dy2. Now what we'll do, we will define p1 point which is point 1.0, 2.0 for our simplicity, and then p2 point, p2 as p2 equals to point, then 4.0 comma 6.0. Now if you want to calculate the distance between these 2 points, I'll just do distance. I'll also not use variable here, I'll use directly functions, and I'll pass on p1 and p2 which is 5. So this is how we can use structs and functions. We can directly pass struct as an argument and then be it a part of function. You can use it in various type of example. Now last example, another example I will take is for bank account. So for example, if we see another example for bank account, Then mutable, I'll create a mutable struct because we have to pass within function, and I'll use just this as bank account struct, and account number is int account holder string balance, which is float 64. This is how we have created new struct. It contains two things: account number, account holder, which is account name. Then now I will create the function, two function, one as deposit and one as withdraw. So let us use it. So function deposit account, and then we will use the bank account as type and amount, which is float. So what we have to do in deposit, if amount is greater than 0, so we simply need to account dot balance plus equals to amount. So here what we are doing is that we are adding the amount to the balance with the shorthand notation. Then we can just print the statement deposited amount account, and we will use here account number, account dot account number. Okay, and we'll also print new balance. So this should be, I think, dollar, and then we will print as new balance, as we use n, we will print a new line, new balance as account dot balance. Okay, now I'll just use this within quotes. This is how it is there. If amount is less than 0, then we'll print invalid deposit amount. Let me end this and also end this. Now I'll use function withdraw account, then bank account, then amount load 64. Now in this case also, what we'll do, if amount is greater than 0 and amount is less than equal to account dot balance, which is also important because before withdrawing we need to check account dot balance minus equals to amount. So we are deducting amount here. So we'll also print withdrawn amount from account dot account number new balance account dot balance. Okay, now what I will do is println invalid withdrawal invalid withdraw amount or insufficient balance. I'll end this. So we have created two functions, deposit and withdraw. Now let's test this. So I'll create account 1, which is bank account type, and I will use here account number as 12345 and user is Alice and amount is initial amount is 1000. Okay, now let us deposit some amount here. So what I will do, deposit account 1 500. So what happens if I use only int? 1 second. So you can see it is automatically increasing when I am just re-entering this, running this cell again and again. So if I use int, then it is failed because the problem is I've used your amount as float 64 or this one. So in that case, what we can do, we can use union of int and float. So that is one thing we can do here. So you can check and handle it. For now, I'm just using float. So 2500 balance is there. Let's withdraw from this account. Withdraw account 1. Let me withdraw 1000, which is remaining amount is 10. This is how we can create some sample struct and function. So I have demonstrated here how we can create a simple bank account and how we can use structs with function. Thank you guys. We'll meet in next chapter. Have a great day.